Hello guys, very good evening. This is Rahul Kumar. I will be the instructor for this 1 hour session for you guys, and most of the time will try to take you through the journey of 5 most common Hadoop administration tasks. So the objective, the agenda of this course is basically to uh, tell you how to plan a Hadoop cluster, how you can build the fully distributed node Hadoop cluster, how you can commission a new node into the cluster without any downtime. So you want to add a new node into the Hadoop cluster. How we can do an upgrade from Hadoop version 1 to Hadoop version 2, and how we can bring the high availability to the name node. So these are some of the common 5 administration tasks which you need to do, which you need to perform on a day-to-day basis. So let us understand just step by step how we can do these things. So when you're planning a Hadoop cluster, you need to think about the problem. So it can be a single machine cluster, it can be a small cluster, or it can be a large cluster. So on the basis of the storage, it can be on the basis of computation power, or on the basis of memory. You decide how the cluster needs to be created. Okay, so the typical use case, if you see here in the Hadoop cluster scenarios, you have got one name node, one name node, you have got data node. Major difference is the amount of memory each node is using here. So node being a single point of failure, and the administration node needs more RAM comparing to data nodes, who needs more processing power, as well as I'll say they need more hard disk actually to process the data, to store the data as well. So this is basically required so that name nodes store all the metadata and data nodes can store all the data. Okay, so you need to, so just taking an example here. So let's say you want to design a cluster on the basis of storage capacity. So seeking the cluster growth on the basis of storage capacity is certainly a good method to use, and generally we followed in the cluster designing part. Okay, so you can see, if let's say, just taking an example here, if your data is growing by approximately terabytes per week and your replication factor is set to 3 times. So replication is something like your data is being duplicated in 3 different data nodes. Okay, so if your replication is set to 3 times, so 15 terabytes of extra storage space is required per week. So initially, when you design a Hadoop cluster, all the space is being taken by HDFS. Okay, so you should always non-HDFS space. So I'll say 20 to 25% or 30% should be on HDFS. So you require 5 into 3 terabytes of hard disk drives, equating to a new machine required each week. Okay, this basically is the cluster designing. When you're designing your cluster, when you're thinking about the problem, understand what your architecture, what your application architecture is asking. Okay, and then create the cluster. So you should always advise to your architect team or designer or your hardware team, infrastructure team, that what kind of a general configuration is required for your cluster. So just taking an example here, we have got some special configuration and general configuration. So in most of the organizations, you will find out general configuration, because it's not very high end and not very low end. So I mean, Hadoop can build on the special configuration. That's not a problem. But because we want to spend like one time in your for your environments in the infrastructure, so 4 into 1 terabytes or 2 terabytes of hard disk drives. So multiple hard disk drives, and without any RAID for the slave nodes. 2 into quad core CPUs and 24 to 32 gigs of RAM with an Ethernet card. So the idea is that more the number of nodes, less the pressure on the nodes, and so the performance of the cluster will be better. So cluster with more nodes will perform better than one with fewer, slightly faster nodes. That's the key to build a Hadoop cluster with optimal performance, I'll say. So designing, I mean, you want to find out how many mappers or how many number of reducers we should put on the cluster. So idea is multiply the number of processor cores by 1.5 times and divide them into the 2:1, which is your mapper is to reducer ratio. So ideally you should give like 1 to 2 gigs of RAM to each mapper and reducer, and divide them into the ratio of 2:1 when you are multiplying your processor cores by 1.5. That will give you the total number of mappers plus reducers on each task tracker node. So you can always change the number of task trackers, mappers and reducers according to the processor cores and according to the configuration of each task tracker, because sometimes it is possible that like you have 10 tasks, 10 machines of very high-end configuration and 10 machines of low-end configuration. So it depends upon cluster to cluster and nodes to nodes. So this is about the slave nodes architecture. So if you're talking about hardware recommendations for the master nodes, okay, like name node or secondary name node or job tray. So this is ideal configuration. I mean, multiple Ethernet cards, dual power supplies, carrier class hardware, not the commodity hardware, RAID hard drives, multiple Ethernet cards with the channel bonding there. So that is actually one important thing. And minimum 32 gigs of RAM. So ideally, I mean, I'll say more than 32. Let's take it to 64, 96. On some environments, it can even go to 500 gigabytes of RAM, because name node is the utmost important part of the Hadoop cluster, and you should have ideally more amount of RAM. I'll say very high-end RAM, so that it can store the metadata and it should not go down. It should not give any performance hit to the cluster. So this is how you can always build a cluster. This is how you can plan your Hadoop cluster. And one important thing is it can vary from organization to organization. So it's not like it's mandatory to have all this kind of configuration, but this is certainly a baseline configuration through which you can start thinking about how I can build my Hadoop cluster. So this is an important part of the Hadoop administrator, to provide all the advice, to provide recommendations when you're building the Hadoop cluster, when you're designing the cluster architecture. And important thing is you should always have your developers in there to understand what kind of jobs they are going to run. So let's say they don't need to know, I mean, in and out of the job, but yes, basic idea, basic architecture of the application should always be there. So that's about the bit about the Hadoop cluster architecture. So when you're designing the fully distributed node cluster, so just taking an example, so we do teach how to build the Hadoop fully distributed node cluster online. I mean, on the live in the live classes here. Okay, so you need to open the ports. You can disable the IP tables. You can, I mean, we do all this stuff. I mean, all the prerequisites that are required. So, for example, here I am having these three modes here. So I can run my cluster in all these three modes, like standalone mode cluster, pseudo distributed mode cluster, in which my Hadoop cluster run on the single machine, and the fully distributed mode cluster in which the Hadoop daemons run the cluster of machines. So this is how I am following this is what I'm following to build the Hadoop cluster here. Okay, so creating a dedicated user and group, and then adding the Hadoop binaries, and then adding the JDK, using the passwordless SSH mechanism so that my name node and data nodes can connect without any passwords here, and editing these files. Just to give you an example here, guys, right now, like I am having a fully distributed node cluster of 6 nodes. Okay, so I'm using like VMware to connect to mouse, and let me just quickly show you. So this is how I am running all the nodes. So you can see a lot of nodes are being presented. So this is what I have got. So I'll say 126 do SSH into 192.168.0.5 and then just show me the host name. Okay, and just to segregate with some thing. So you can see I've got these 6 nodes. So this is a Hadoop version 1 cluster. Okay, so not very end. Okay, I mean it's a bit older version, I'll say, but I have built like both the nodes cluster. So all the JDKs, Hadoop binaries, profile file that needs to be set, all these things are being set on all the nodes, and accordingly I'm building the cluster. So just doing a start DFS so that it can start all the daemons. Okay, so For those who are not able to see the screen, guys, I would recommend here that please just read quickly. Okay, so all these things are going on. Okay, and you can always check the status of what all daemons have come up like this. Okay, and then you can build your cluster. So I'll say go to the job tracker and then run your mapred.sh. So that will show you all the mapred specific daemons. So that's build the cluster. I mean, you don't need much. You just need to have some of the settings. Okay, like I am having the core site.xml installed in my name node. I do have the DFS site.xml. Okay, for all the HDFS specific settings. So just the basic settings to showcase what we can do. Okay, we can certainly do beyond than this. Okay, and as well as the mapred job tracker settings. Very basic cluster, I'll say. Okay, so all the names, master nodes are being presented in this. So this is, you build a cluster. For that, you need to think about what is the problem, and then you need to provide the settings accordingly. So what kind of a block size should be, what is the size of the blocks here, the ideal number of mappers and reducers. Should I enable these what I need to give for the task trackers, or if you need to about before you are building a Hadoop cluster. Similarly, you can start with a fully distributed node cluster of Hadoop 2 as well. So you can see how quickly I can start all the nodes. So Hadoop administrator's job is it starts from planning, then building, then doing all the administration related. Okay, so it can be integration with the Teradata cluster, and be integration with the what do you call ab initio clusters, or it can be related to troubleshooting, managing the upgrades. It can be related to daily planning of the jobs which people are trying to run, so scheduling their jobs. Okay, so multiple tasks are being run by the Hadoop administrators. Multiple tasks are being done by the Hadoop administrators. Okay, so Hadoop administrators are busy in developers. What kind of jobs they want to run. Okay, what kind of they want to run. Okay, scripting is certainly a good thing to have. Okay, in your bucket. Okay, but it's not actually mandatory. So I'll say for the Hadoop cluster creation, for the building, for troubleshooting, for such kind of things, I'll say only the Hadoop cluster. You should know what Hadoop is all about. That's the most important. Okay, a lot of people I know who knows what Hadoop cluster is. They don't know scripting. They don't know much of the Python. All these, how to build the Cloudera Hadoop cluster. They don't know what does it mean. What do you mean by Cloudera Hadoop? To say how the high availability works. Let's say, okay, or how the name node works. Okay, what kind of metadata is being stored by the name node. So we do provide all that information here. Okay, so it's not Hadoop administrator job is not to just build the cluster. It's actually main thing is to understand the internals of Hadoop. That is why we always start Apache Hadoop. Okay, a basic distribution of Hadoop, which is like manual, do everything manually, and then go into the Cloudera distribution, which is like doing the automation stuff. Okay, so Hadoop administrator will not build the jobs of MapReduce, not at all. That is not a part of Hadoop administration job. Hadoop administration job is to understand what all issues developers are facing and then try to troubleshoot those issues. Okay, so it might be possible they are in some performance hits. It might be possible they are not able to connect to the Hadoop cluster. It might be that they are not able to secure. You are not able to secure the cluster. Okay, or they are trying to hack into a cluster. So you should be aware of those things and then try to resolve it. So also, some people always think that, okay, do I need to just take care of only Hadoop? No. So not only Hadoop, you will be taking care of all the Hadoop ecosystem components as well. So we do teach all the Hadoop ecosystem components. Like I go with the Pig, Hive, multi-node cluster, then Scoop, Flume, Zookeeper. All the tools are also being taught by us. Okay, so we do provide all the basics of these tools so that when people are working in their original environments, I mean the enterprise environments, they should be aware of these tools as well. Okay, so Linux scripting is, I'll say, basics of that if you are clear. Okay, so prerequisites of Linux is certainly very important for this course. Okay, so depends upon the monitoring as well. Okay, if you are, let's say, aware. Okay, so let's go into the Hadoop 2 cluster. Okay, just to showcase what you can do in the Hadoop 2 cluster parts. Okay, so here I have again connected to the 5-node cluster. Okay, so let me just quickly go through this as well. And then the okay, so I'll say there's a question from Pradeep here. What are the prerequisites of learning the Hadoop administration? I'll say basics of Linux should be there, guys. Okay, that is certainly required. You should understand what Linux is all about. Okay, and then accordingly you should act. Linux is something. I mean, you build the Hadoop cluster always on Linux, whether in the enterprise environments or whether in the any environments, I will say. Okay, so basics should be there, nothing much. Okay, I'll say, I mean, ls commands or dir mkdir commands or some bit of networking. Because we do teach all this stuff as well. I mean, we do have a basics of Linux as well, being covered by Edureka. So you can go through the self-paced course of Linux also. There's no knowledge of Java required to learn the Hadoop administration. Okay. I mean, additional knowledge you can gain anything, right? So, but for the Hadoop administrator, no. Okay. Then okay. So one participant here says that I got 15 years of experience in Linux storage and backup. So that's actually good. Okay. So it is a growing technology, but it's not something you will say. What is the use of for this in my career? Okay. I believe it's just not a keyword. I mean, it's just not a buzzword you are listening. There is really something going on in the Hadoop cluster. Okay, so I'll say, I mean, it's really good thing to learn this Hadoop technology. Okay, so quickly showcase the things. I think we are. So I'm not just doing all these sales and marketing here. Wanted to show you a couple of things. Okay, so you can see we have got 5 nodes here, and we can again just start the. Okay, so let me format the Hadoop or start the DFS. Okay, we'll again start the name nodes. Well, I'll say data nodes, the secondary name node, and then we'll go into the resource manager to start the resource manager as well as the let me show you resource manager and node managers. Okay, so you can always go to the web interface as well to see what all things are running. Okay, like for name node, you can see name node availability with 3 live nodes, and you can also go web interface, the resource manager with the node managers here. Okay, so preferred programming language for a Hadoop administrator, if I'll say, is the Python. Okay, but that too just for the basics. I'm saying this once again. Okay, so it's not a prerequisite or mandatory thing. Okay, this is something, well, I'll say when you become a Linux administrator, you should know shell scripting. Okay, but here when you are learning the Hadoop, it's not really required. Okay, that you should know shell scripting. Okay, you should know Python scripting. It's just an additional thing which you are knowing. Okay, but you should know. I'm going to write any MapReduce programs like a Hadoop administrator. Nobody is going to give you that kind of responsibility, because you will always be involved in the administration stuff of clusters. So then, Babu, I'll say this is the right time to understand the architecture part. This is the right time to understand the basics. Okay. I mean, this course starts from the basics, go to some advanced one, then really go the extensive part of we cover all the extensive part of the Hadoop. So I think best time to join this kind of course. I'm not sure what your thoughts are, but yes, if I want to show you just to give you a background here. Okay, so we do have, if you see the curriculum of this particular course. So the major advantage I'll say here is access to a learning management system. We don't really believe in just providing the access. We do believe in you have all the updates going on in the Hadoop administration stuff. You can see how deep we cover in all the architecture part, or I'll say basics part of Hadoop. So clear understanding of Apache Hadoop. So I'll say we go with the Apache Hadoop. We don't go with the Cloudera or Hortonworks initially. The reason is we want to teach the stuff manually first, make you guys understand what Hadoop is all about, and then go into the Cloudera distribution of Hadoop. So I'll say, starting from understanding of Apache Hadoop, guides on the Yarn Hadoop 2 version Hadoop 2, planning and deploy cluster. So as you can see, I have built this Hadoop cluster on my machine. So I show everything actually live. Okay. I mean, I don't believe in just showcasing the things I have done. I believe in doing the things online so that people can also understand, and they can also, see, different people have different experiences. They can also teach us different things, during the session. And okay, these kind of commands can also give us some benefits. So I believe in sharing as well as caring. Configurations and performance tuning, maintaining, monitoring, and troubleshooting a Hadoop cluster. Securing a secure deployment and understanding the backup and recovery, I'll say, and then the Hadoop ecosystem components. Okay, so I'll say prerequisite to have the Linux machine. Okay, so I'll say just a laptop if you have. Okay, I will always show you how to install the softwares, what kind of softwares are really required, and what kind of how you can build the environment in your laptop itself. So even if you have a 4 GB RAM, you can always build a 3-node Hadoop cluster. If you have an 8 GB RAM laptop, you can always build a 6-node Hadoop. So I always show these things to the participants who doesn't know how to build the Hadoop cluster within a 8 GB RAM laptop. Question from one of the participants: do we focus on Hadoop version 1? So we do cover both the versions actually, Narendra. Okay, so people sometimes ask, okay, what is job track all about? What is task track? So they are the older versions of Hadoop. Okay, and we do delve into details as well. Okay, so Hadoop version 1 to version 2, Hadoop ecosystem components, newer versions of Hadoop ecosystem components. We do cover everything in the Hadoop administration course. Yes, so we do recommend the books as well. So I will say the definitive guide by Tom White, and we do have we recommend the Hadoop operations book. So that is again recommended. But yes, so we do cover the certification exam as well. And the best part is your certification. If you are giving the certification from Edureka, then there are 2 benefits. The cost is included in this course. And second thing is you can always attach your certificate with the LinkedIn. Okay, so you can always enable through the LinkedIn profile the Edureka certification. So one of the participants, how about the freshers like us? Will we get the job? So Nitish, I'll say it's not about freshers or it's not about experience. I'll say it's all how much you learn. Okay, so I've seen people like 15 years experience. Okay, they don't get into Hadoop administration because they have not practiced even a single class. Okay, and I have seen people having experience of like 6 months, 1 year going into the Hadoop administration because they do practice all the classes. So one thing I always recommend, I would always say, or you can think it in any way, that do practice all the classes which I am trying to teach you guys. Okay, so that's what is really recommended, and people get really successful. Okay, when they cover all the all practicals of this exam, of this course. Okay, so you can build the virtual machines or Hadoop clusters using VirtualBox or VMware. I do, or even you can form the cluster on Amazon EC2. That's right, guys. Okay, so no, it's really doesn't matter if you're using the Cloudera Hadoop cluster or Hortonworks, because both of them are using the bare metal Apache Hadoop only, and on top of that they have built their own distributions, and that's why I cover the Cloudera distribution of Hadoop. So having how to add a new node into the Cloudera disk cluster, how to remove a new node into the Cloudera cluster, how to add the high availability in the Cloudera cluster, how to federate your cluster. All this stuff I do cover with the Cloudera distribution of Hadoop as well. So I don't believe in the Cloudera sandbox. So if you go to the Cloudera website, you will find out the Sands virtual machine, which is already built with the Cloudera Hadoop cluster. So I don't believe in that. I do believe in showing everything online. Okay. So Babu says, I am based in UK, seems no jobs for Hadoop administrator. Will they improve? I'm not sure which part of UK you are based in, Babu. I was there in UK for last 3 years. Okay. And I think I have seen, I mean, it's 100,000 pound job I was getting into. I mean, I did not get some visa issues and all. Okay. I mean, visa getting expired and all, but I got the jobs very easily. So I got like 4 offers. Okay. Like this was like 1 year back, and the situation has really improved now. So I'll say most of the jobs are based in, I think, London. So that's really. So I do get really, honestly, because I have, enabled what you call jobs online portals. Okay, I have actually registered portals. So I do get really 4 jobs per day. Not only I say Hadoop administrators, certainly they are not only for Hadoop administrators, but yes, nearly to the Hadoop. I mean, Hadoop administration is one part of the job, and some parts sometimes they are like with the scripting. Some parts they are like with the DevOps. Okay, but I have seen like lot of Hadoop administration jobs there. Okay, so honestly, doesn't know. I mean, on what sites you are really looking these jobs. Okay, so no, but I would recommend here just to go to the different websites to see all jobs are there for the Hadoop administrators. Yes, you can certainly build the cluster on VirtualBox as well. So pay scales, as I just said, if you are looking something in UK. Not more than 50,000 to 60,000 to, I'll say 50 to 70,000 pounds. Okay. In India, I would always say, I mean, it depends upon the packages to packages, like how the tier 2 companies like TCS, Wipro, Infosys works, and tier 1 companies, it's a bit of challenge there. Okay. I would say basic pay scales of 6 to 8 lakh is not far if you have some experience as well as you are a Hadoop administrator. So on a 6 GB RAM laptop, that's what I said, guys. You can always build a 4-node cluster easily. So just to showcase now what Hadoop upgrades is all about. Okay, so quickly let me showcase the thing. So if you want to move from Hadoop version to Hadoop version 2, okay. So we do showcase the stuff of upgrading cluster. Hadoop Yarn internals, yes, you should know, Babu, is the Hadoop administrator job, but not the development, because Yarn is the development part of Hadoop, and we do cover that in our big data and Hadoop course. So if you are more interested in the Hadoop development, please do join our big data and Hadoop course, where we cover the internals of Yarn, like how to build the job on top of Yarn. Okay, so just to give you an idea, guys, okay, how to do the Hadoop upgrade. Of 20 sessions. So again just the basics. Okay, what all nodes I have. Okay, so 6 node cluster. Let's say if I want to upgrade it to from Hadoop version 1 to Hadoop version 2. So if you see, this is Hadoop version 1. Okay, so I need to format my name. And now if I move from Hadoop version 1 to Hadoop version 2, how I can do that? Okay, so you can start all the components and then stop your components, put some data accordingly. But let's say now I have, okay, so let me start the name node, your data nodes. Okay, so now if I put some data, you can see a lot of data now inside the Hadoop distributed file system. So let's say now if I want to upgrade it with my data should remain intact. So how can do that? Just all the DFS components and copy your bash profile. So let's say we have got these 6 nodes and I want to copy this back to. So basically for the Hadoop version 2, I need to copy in all and then I can just upgrade my Hadoop cluster with the command Hadoop daemon.sh start name node -1 upgrade. So this will actually upgrade my Hadoop cluster. Okay, so you can see now. Yeah, Ritika. So it's actually, so basically just to showcase here. So we are having all the Apache Hadoop configurations. Okay, so seems some of the issues right now in the name node. I will take a look. And this is like your Hadoop version 1, and we do have the same in version 2 as well. Okay, so because it's just about the name node update. Okay, so you can see saves in the name node as well. Okay, so all these configurations go into the Hadoop different nodes, and then you need to just start your nodes here. So okay, so we can do the Hadoop upgrade. Basic way to see whether your Hadoop upgrade has been completed or not. Okay, is to go into the name node current directory and see your version file. So you can see the layout version is being changed now. That's basically your Hadoop version. And okay, so this is basically the old node. That's what the problem is. Let me showcase this to the latest one. So that you can see certainly from the latest node here. So now go choose the Hadoop version. It should show you the Hadoop version 2.2.0. So with just a couple of commands, you can do the Hadoop upgrade. So how smoothly you can do what all problems. For example, right now, some issue in the name node itself. Okay, I can quickly fix that. That's not really a problem. Okay, you can fix the Hadoop upgrade as well. Okay, why the Hadoop name node is not running. So that's the thing actually you need to look. I mean, as an administrator, this is the job you have. Okay, so taking all the components into the cluster, running them, providing the performance. Okay, sometimes your Hue application is not able to integrate. Okay, sometimes your Hive is not able to integrate. Sometimes your Metastore is not running. Okay, so this is coming apart from Hadoop. Okay, so configurations and everything you need to do, and then the taking care of all the components. But major thing is you can do only when you know the internals of components. Okay, so this is a bit like how you can have the do the upgrades if you want to. So I'll say the intended audience for this course, okay, should be system administrators, Linux administrators, okay, Windows administrators. I mean, the people who knows about Windows, Linux, or the system administration kind of things, infrastructure task, I'll say. For those who want to, I mean, I can bet on this that people who have done only development in their life, okay, if they will join this course, okay, they will really like it, because then you get to know the internals. Okay, so internals are not actually known by anybody in the development team. Okay, we see a lot of developers who ask, okay, how have you performed this task? We always say, okay, you are the developer, you should know the concept of it, but they don't know. The reason is same, because they know the APIs, okay, but they don't know the internals of Hadoop work. So, for example, I want to bring my name node into the safe mode. How I can do that? So, name node safe mode means, I mean, you really can't write any data into the cluster. You can restrict your developers to do anything. So, for example, if you see, I just have, I can do anything right now. I can create a directory as well. Okay, so just if I want to create a test directory, I can do that. But now if I, let's say, want to bring my cluster into the safe mode, so dfs admin -safe mode, now I cannot do anything because my cluster is right now into the safe mode. So I just create a new direct test one, and you can see the exceptions coming. Okay, so these are the kind of activities. I mean, you are doing the upgrades. Okay, how you should send the comms, and then how you should bring the cluster into the safe mode. How you can back up the data from the Hadoop cluster. Let's say from the Hadoop distributed file system, and then your local file system. How you should back up the job tracker specific data from the cluster. So all this stuff we do teach here in our course. Okay, so okay, so one question we have here is, like, with the 3 years of experience in Java and MapR certified Hadoop developer, how much package can I expect in India? So, Mayur, I don't know if you are based in India, or like you're based in US, you're based out of US. The thing is, it depends upon like how much perform the activities. Okay, so the thing is, well, do understand sometimes that, okay, we have taken this course and we have learned it. I can see that you are already a MapR certified developer, but if you have really worked upon the enterprise level projects, then I think the package is not really a big issue. Okay, you should get good packages, you should get good positions as well, good roles and responsibility in any organization. Okay, so very important question here: what are the job opportunities for PhD fresher on cloud combined with the Hadoop skills? So that's what another important area is. Okay, so we do have our AWS course as well. Okay, we would like to showcase, how you can integrate your Hadoop skills with the Amazon Web Services. We do have a documents as well. Documents for that, like how you get the Hadoop cluster on Amazon Web Services cloud. Okay, so if we have like cloud skills of Amazon Web Services, let's say some administration skills of cloud and Hadoop administration skills, you can combine them, and I don't think so you would really be denied anywhere. Okay, I mean to say, from the jobs perspective, from the business perspective, from the roles perspective, okay, you should really get good jobs. Okay, that's what the problem is. Okay, so that's what people are thinking. Okay, we have one guy saying that as a Hadoop administrator, we do not deal with internals like job tracker, task tracker, data node, name node, but rather we use UI like Cloudera Manager to add the nodes or remove the nodes or fine tune, etc. Right? So that's what the problem is. Okay, so we do that certainly, but what you are saying is okay. But do you? I mean, have you got the concept of how the Cloudera is actually taking the job tracker, decommissioning the data node or commissioning the data node, or how it is adding the high availability to the? You don't understand that because it is all automated. Okay, so that is what the problem is, and I have seen like a lot of administrators very good in Cloudera administration, but very poor in the understanding of what happens in Cloudera. Okay, and that's what I try to cover. I mean, that's what my motto is, to make you guys aware that okay, how the internals work. Okay, I don't really deal in automation initially, but yes, later on, I mean, certainly you should be working on, I'll say, automation. So you should have that grasp, and I do cover that, but later on. I mean, it's the second part of our course, I'll say. No, you can't really, Arun, because safe mode means actually when you want to restrict the developers. Okay, so there are two things in the safe mode. You want to restrict any read access to the cluster. You can enable the safe mode, and when you restart your cluster, then also your cluster goes into the safe mode, because really you are trying to, because your data nodes basically are trying to advertise all their blocks to the name. So at that point of time, also name node restricts your access to cluster. I mean, you put your cluster into the read only mode. That's what I can say. Okay, so just to showcase, I mean, why are we running this safe mode? Just to showcase, I mean, how you can, I mean, there can be multiple tasks. Okay, so that's one of the tasks you might have. Okay, so for any of the other courses, guys, I'll say just go to the website. Okay, see all the dates, deadlines. Even there are a lot of discounts as well. Okay, sometimes we do keep, and you can always reach out to our sales team as well. Okay, to understand what are the prerequisites of this course, or how much time. I mean, we do run a lot of weekdays course, and we do have a lot of weekends course. Okay, and I would recommend, I mean, my recommendation would be always to go on weekdays course, because that's where you learn most. I mean, you get some time to build the Hadoop clusters as well. Okay, so I've seen people taking weekdays course, but because they're not able to, they don't get the time to do the practical stuff. So they forget very, and that's where the challenge comes. So I would recommend everybody to, you know, if you are looking for any kind of this course, to go for the weekend. Yes, yes, Mohit, that's absolutely right. So DB administrator has a very important part in Hadoop administration. See, the thing is, Hadoop is nothing but the file system. I mean, it's a Hadoop distributed file system, and the processing part is MapReduce. Okay, yeah, I'll say. So DB administrators, I mean, 90% of DB administrators do take this course. The reason is again same, that Hadoop is the distributed file system that uses the underlying architecture of Linux only, the x86 file system, to integrate all the components. And when you have this Hadoop distributed file system, how you can actually create the directories, then provide the permissions, and on top of it, when you build the HBase database or Cassandra database, or when you build the what do you call MongoDB database. So how you do that kind of stuff. Okay. So this is one thing also, I mean, very important, that as a DB administrator, I'll say. So just to showcase, okay, so let's say to bring the high availability to the Hadoop, okay, how you can do that. Okay. Yeah, so okay, so people are saying that okay, we are getting bored, this is like not interesting thing. Okay, so for that people, I mean, you need to really join this course. You need to understand what things we are teaching here. Okay, I don't think so that with just one topic, or you know, showing the topics like in very hasty way will make your guys very. I don't think so. But yes, but I'm trying to showcase the thing here that we don't deal in just deals of these courses. You know, we deal in all the practical stuff, technical stuff of these courses. Okay, so we do cover the NoSQL database as well. Okay, we do cover Cassandra database, sorry, HBase database in our cluster, in our course. We do build the HBase multi-node Hadoop multi-node cluster. along with the Hadoop, and then integrate both these clusters, and then showcase how you can actually do some basics for this cluster as well. Okay, so just to showcase what Hadoop what Hadoop high availability is all about. Okay, so in the high availability, you can see here multiple nodes, data nodes, name node, zookeeper, failover controller. So how these components actually integrate together, how these components communicate together. Okay, so we do cover all these stuff as well. Okay, so high availability, I have never seen any video. Okay, you can reach out to YouTube, you can reach out to Vimeo or whatever video platforms you have. Okay, if anybody can show me how to bring high availability to a cluster, that would be really great, because I really can't find any videos, and that's what I said. Okay, how we can bring the high availability to the Hadoop cluster. So I've learned it off my own like 2 years back, and now I think I know all the internals of what high availability is all about. I mean, because I do all the configurations in the enterprise. Okay, so let me take some of the questions here. Okay, people are saying that okay, let's have some question answers instead of this practical stuff. What kind of environments you are provide for Hadoop administration course? What kind of environments you are going to provide? Okay, so the same repeated question. So see, we don't provide any kind of environments. Okay, let's say any practical environments. Okay, what we do provide is okay, how you can build the environment in your laptops or desktops, whatever you have, or if you are doing it on Amazon EC2 cloud, we do provide all the information related to that. And our support team, let's say even if I'm not available around you, okay, so you can always reach out to our support team as well to understand or to resolve your issues around these environments. Okay, but in the class I do show how you build the Hadoop multi-node cluster, how you can build the environment from the basics, what softwares you need, what configurations you need to do to build that kind of environment as well. So high availability means active name node and standby name. Okay, so name nodes, how you can bring the code from active to standby. So just to showcase the configuration instead of making you guys more. Okay, so I mean you can see what it's a whole big configuration I have done. Okay, so this is like core site.xml, very small configuration of 2 properties. Okay, and now if you go into the HDFS, okay, you can see whole lot of configurations is being done for the HDFS side. So how you can bring the high availability Hadoop cluster, we do cover in detail with this architecture as well. I'm not sure, Babu. I mean, that's what I said. Okay, so I really don't say that. Okay, maybe you have not found out, but I mean that's what I get. So on a daily basis, even if I am based in India now, okay, I have just come from UK, so I do get a lot of opportunities from Hadoop administration's perspective. Okay, so PhD students, master students, I mean, we do get a lot of students request as well for learning this course. I would recommend here that you should learn. No, we don't cover any MapReduce coding. Okay, we don't cover any such kind of things in the Hadoop administration course, especially because administration is only for administration tasks. So all the I mean, if you looking for any MapReduce coding, do join our big data Hadoop course for that. GUI tool only from the Cloudera's or Autumn perspective, Rajesh. Okay, but we do cover Cloudera's cluster in the later part of the course. But from the Apache Hadoop, there is most GUI tool. Okay, for Hadoop administration. However, I mean, if you want, I mean, we will be using this Hadoop user experience. Okay, that you can use for the development activities in the Hadoop. So I will be showing that as well, how you can integrate your Hadoop user experience in the Hadoop, so which you can do a lot of administration activities. So I think I have tried like most of the questions here. I think you have got the understanding of how Hadoop administration tasks are, how Hadoop cluster is being designed. I mean, I start from this 6-node cluster. So basic 1-node cluster to 6-node cluster. And then I move to the Hadoop administration activities, then go into the Hadoop 2 version, then cover all the, how can we have multiple name nodes in the Hadoop cluster, how we can have high availability in the Hadoop cluster, how we can integrate Yarn in the Hadoop cluster, how we can provide the high availability to the resource manager, how we can have high interface in Impala, all these kind of stuff we do cover in our courses.